And the Senate is insisting that convicted Chief Whip Orji Kalu will continue to receive his salaries and other entitlement while in prison. Now, this is despite that he will not be performing any legislative function from prison. The spokesperson of the Senate, Orji Kalu, said that despite the conviction, Mr. Kalu remains a sitting senator and will be paid all of his entitlements in full. And with me in the studio to discuss this issue is public affairs analyst Alpha Jackden. Many thanks to you, Alpha Jackden, for joining us on this hour. All right, now he's joining us clearly from Abuja studio. Alpha Jackden, if you can hear me, you heard from the spokesperson of the Senate. He's saying Orji Kalu will continue to receive his entitlement, and that despite the fact that he's not performing any legislative duties, his salaries and allowances will be paid in full. What do you make of that?
Well, to a large extent, that is because the Constitution probably did not foresee his current instance. Now, when can a senator's seat be declared vacant? Death? Resignation? Maybe such a senator moves to the executive. We've had senators that have moved from the Senate to become ministers. We also have an instance where if as a senator you don't meet up to, I want to believe, one-third of the session, if you don't sit, your seat can be declared vacant. I want to believe that, or you lose your sitting allowance or something. But let's look at it from the procedural standpoint. It is most laughable, as a friend of mine told me some hours ago, that to say simply because it was a lower court that made that pronouncement, and as such, he can go to the to the appeal and then up to the Supreme Court, and for such a reason, he can go on getting paid and other perquisites that comes with his office. I mean, for me, I find that most unacceptable. But what can we do? To a large extent, don't also forget that a precedent has been laid. Former Plateau State Governor, Joshua Darie, went through the 8th Senate that he was a member of, even though he was not sitting. Now, that precedent has been laid, and as I did mention earlier, to a large extent, we can see that the Constitution probably did not foresee this instance. So the way forward now is we are talking of constitutional amendments.
I was going to come in there because, like you rightly said, Orji Kalu also said the same thing. That look, constitutionally, it is not right to withdraw his allowances because there's no provision for that in the Constitution. So I was going to ask you what you think the way forward is.
Well, the way forward for me now is that, yes, constitutional amendments is in the offing. It's on the way. It's about time we start thinking about this kind of issues that were not seen by the framers of the Constitution. Now, beyond that, let's not also forget, there are honorable members, there are senators that have lost their seats. Can we also ask them back for the monies that they collected illegally as we move forward?
But would it be fair to say that because he's been, a court has said, look, you have been found guilty of these charges, was sentencing you to 12 years in prison. Of course, that's the lower court, there's the appeal court, and there's the Supreme Court. So would it be fair to say we're holding back your allowances pending when, you've been acquitted, if you are acquitted of all of these charges?
Let's not forget, is the lower court a court of competent jurisdiction? It is. Of course, he can decide to exploit the appeal court, he can decide to exploit the Supreme Court, he can decide not to. But as it were, a competent court of jurisdiction did make that pronouncement, and hence it should hold. You see, what we are talking about is like saying someone who doesn't come to work is still getting his pay. The danger in this is this. I can decide to become a senator tomorrow and decide not to come to the chambers. All I may have to lose is my sitting allowance. My salaries and other perquisites of office will come. We need to be careful. Now that this has presented itself, we need to see how best, as it were, that such instances can be taken care of or should be taken care of.
Public affairs analyst Alpha Jackden, many thanks for your time on this.